The garden pansy is a type of large-flowered hybrid plant cultivated as garden flowers. It is derived by hybridization from several species in the section Melanium of the genus Viola, particularly Viola tricolor, a wildflower of Europe and Western Asia known as heartsease. Some of these hybrids are referred to as Viola, wittrockiana gams x Nauenb, and Buttler. For simplicity, the older name Viola tricolor var hortensis is often used. The garden pansy flower is 2 to 3 inches in diameter and has 2 slightly overlapping upper petals, 2 side petals, and a single bottom petal with a slight beard emanating from the flower's center. The plant may grow to 9 inches in height, and prefers sun to varying degrees and well-draining soils. Names and terminology. English common names, such as pansy, viola, and violet may be used interchangeably. One possible distinction is that plants considered to be pansies are classified in Viola sect Melanium, and have 4 petals pointing upwards, and only 1 pointing down, whereas those considered to be violets are classified in Viola sect Viola, and have 2 petals pointing up and 3 pointing down. Another possible distinction is made by the American Violet Society, the international cultivar registration authority for the genus Viola. It divides cultivated varieties in Viola sect Melanium into 4 subgroups: B1 pansies, B2 violas, B3 violetas and B4 cornuta hybrids. On this classification, modern pansies differ from the other 3 subgroups by possessing a well-defined blotch, or eye in the middle of the flower. Modern horticulturalists tend to use the term pansy for those multicolored large-flowered hybrids that are grown for bedding purposes every year, while viola is usually reserved for smaller, more delicate annuals and perennials. The name pansy is derived from the French word penser, copyrighty thought, and was imported into late Middle English as a name of viola in the mid-15th century, as the flower was regarded as a symbol of remembrance. The name love in idleness was meant to imply the image of a lover who has little or no other employment than to think of his beloved. The name heart, unregistered trademark heartsease, came from the woman Saint Euphrasia, whose name in Greek signifies cheerfulness of mind. The woman, who refused marriage and took the veil, was considered a pattern of humility, hence the name humble violet. In Scandinavia, Scotland, and German-speaking countries, the pansy is always known as the stepmother. The name was accompanied by an aetiological tale about a selfish stepmother, told to children while the teller plucked off corresponding parts of the blossom to fit the plot. In Italy the pansy is known as flamola, and in Hungary it is known as ervacska. In Israel, the pansy is known as Amnon and Tamar, after the biblical characters. In the United States, pansies have been colloquially referred to as football flowers, because of the Milwaukee football, or soccer decorations that use white chrysanthemums and black pansies to create a soccer ball. In some countries of Spanish language, the pansy is known as pensamiento, or trinitaria. Historical background. In the early years of the 19th century, Lady Mary Elizabeth Bennet, daughter of the Lord of Tankerville, collected and cultivated every sort of viola tricolor she could procure in her father's garden at Walton-upon-Thames, Surrey. Under the supervision of her gardener, William Richardson, a large variety of plants was produced via crossbreeding. In 1812, she introduced her pansies to the horticultural world, and, in 1813, Mr. Lee, a well-known florist and nurseryman, further cultivated the flower. Other nurserymen followed Lee's example, and the pansy became a favorite among the public. About the same time that Lady Bennet was busy cultivating heartsease, James, Lord Gambier was doing the same in his garden at Iver under the advice and guidance of his gardener William Thompson. A yellow viola, Viola lutea, and a wide-petaled pale yellow species of Russian origin, Viola altaica, were among the crosses that laid the foundation for the new hybrids classed as Viola wittrockiana, named for the Swedish botanist Friedrich Wittrock. A round flower of overlapping petals was the aim of some early experimenters. In the late 1830s, a chance sport that no longer had narrow nectar guides of dark color on the petals but a broad dark blotch on the petals, was found. It was developed in Gambia's garden and released to the public in 1839 with the name Medera. By 1833, there were 400 named pansies available to gardeners who once considered its progenitor, heartsease, a weed. Specific guidelines were formulated for show pansies, but amateur gardeners preferred the less demanding fancy pansies. About this time, James Grieve developed the Viola and Dr. Charles Stewart developed the Violetta, both smaller, more compact plants than the pansy. Cultivation. Modern horticulturalists have developed a wide range of pansy flower colors and bicolors, including yellow, gold, orange, purple, violet, red, white, and even near black. Pansies typically display large showy face markings. Plants grow well in sunny or partially sunny positions in well-draining soils. Pansies are perennial, but normally grown as biennials or annuals because of their leggy growth. The first-year plant produces greenery, and bears flowers and seeds in its second year of growth. Afterwards, the plant dies like an annual. Because of selective human breeding, most garden pansies bloom the first year, some in as little as 9 weeks after sowing. Pansies are purchased as 6-packs or flats of young plants from garden centers and planted directly into the garden soil. Plants will grow up to 9 inches in height with flowers measuring 2 to 3 inches in diameter, though smaller and larger flowering cultivars are available. Pansies are winter hardy in zones 4 to 8. They can survive light freezes and short periods of snow cover, but, in areas with prolonged snow cover, a covering of a dry winter mulch is recommended. In warmer climates, zones 9 to 11, pansies can bloom over the winter, and are often planted in the fall. In warmer zones, pansies may reseed themselves and return the next year. They are not very heat tolerant. Warm temperatures inhibit blooming and hot muggy air causes rot and death. In colder zones, pansies may not survive without snow cover or protection from extreme cold or periods of freezing and thawing. They perform best in zones with moderate temperatures, and equal amounts of mild rainfall and sunshine. Pansies, for best growth, are watered thoroughly about once a week, depending on climate and rainfall. The plant should never be overwatered. To maximize blooming, plant foods are used about every other week, depending on the type of food used. Regular deadheading can extend the blooming period. Pests and diseases. Aphids, which can spread the cucumber mosaic virus, sometimes feed on pansies. Infestations are treated with a spray of diluted soft soap or insecticides. Leaf spot is a fungal infection. Symptoms include dark spots on leaf margins followed by a white web covering the leaves. It is associated with cool damp springs. Downy mildew. Pansy downy mildew is caused by the fungus-like organism Peronospora violo, which produces purple-brown leaf spots, often with encircling yellowing, that have an accompanying grey mold on the leaf underside. It can severely weaken or kill affected plants. Powdery mildew, a disease caused by one or more species of fungus in the Ericifaceae family. Symptoms include violet-grey powder on fringes and underside of leaves. It is caused by stagnant air and can be limited but not necessarily eliminated by spraying. Slugs and snails. Slugs and snails feed on the foliage. Sometimes sharp, gritty sand or a top dressing of chipped bark is used by gardeners to limit damage. Stem rot, also known as pansy sickness, is a soil-borne fungus and a possible hazard with unsterilized animal manure. The plant may collapse without warning in the middle of the season. The foliage will flag and lose color. Flowers will fade and shrivel prematurely. Stem will snap at the soil line if tugged slightly. The plant is probably a total loss unless tufted. The treatment of stem rot includes the use of fungicides such as Shashant or Benomil, which are used prior to planting. Infected plants are destroyed to prevent the spread of the pathogen to other plants. Cucumber mosaic virus. The cucumber mosaic virus is transmitted by aphids. Pansies with the virus have fine yellow veining on young leaves, stunted growth and anomalous flowers. The virus can lay dormant, affect the entire plant and be passed to next generations and to other species. Prevention is key. Purchases should consist entirely of healthy plants, and pH-balanced soil should be used which is neither too damp nor too dry. The soil should have balanced amounts of nitrogen, phosphate and potash. Other diseases which may weaken the plant should be eliminated. In the arts and culture, symbolism. The pansy's connection to pious humility is mentioned by Hart, who writes, "From brute beasts humility I learned." And in the pansy unregistered trademark S life goad unregistered trademark S providence discerned. Gifford evokes both Christian and classical undertones, writing how pansies are still, more blessed than me, thus shall ye live your little day, and when ye die, sweet flowers. The grateful muse shall give a verse. Smart proposes were it not for thee, O sun, those pansies, that reclining from the bank view through the immaculate, pellucid stream, their portraiture in the inverted heaven, might as well change their triple boast, the white, the purple, and the gold. On account of its popularity in both society and its recurring appearances in romantic poetry, a variety of new nicknames for the flower began to circulate. Dorothea Lindix proclaims that perhaps no flower claims to be so universal a favorite, as the Viola tricolor. None currently has been honored with so rich a variety of names, at once expressive of grace, delicacy and tenderness. Many of these names play on the whimsical nature of love, including three faces under a hood, flame flower, jump up and kiss me, flower of Jove, and pink of my John. In Hamlet, Ophelia distributes flowers with the remark, "There's pansies, that's for thoughts." Other poets referencing the pansy include Ben Jonson, Bernard Barton, Michael Drayton, Edmund Spenser, William Wakefield, and William Wordsworth. Nathaniel Hawthorne published his last literary effort, an unfinished piece, entitled Pansy, a fragment, sometimes called Little Pansy, a fragment in 1864. D. H. Lawrence's Pansies, Poems by D. H. Lawrence was published in 1929, and Margaret Mitchell originally chose Pansy as the name of her Gone with the Wind heroine, but settled on Scarlet just before the book went into print. Visual arts. In the visual arts, Pierre-Joseph Redouta copyright painted Bouquet of Pansies in 1827, and, in 1874, Henri Fantin-Latour painted Still Life with Pansies. In 1887, Van Gogh painted Man met Violeges, and, in 1926, Georgia O'Keeffe created a painting of a black pansy called simply, Pansy and followed it with White Pansy in 1927. J. J. Granville created a fantasy flower called Pensa copyright E in his Fleurs Anima copyright. The 1951 Disney animated film Alice in Wonderland featured a chorus of singing pansies in the Garden of Live flower scene. As an emblem. Because its name means thought, the pansy was chosen as a symbol of free thought and has been used in the literature of the American Secular Union. Humanists use it too, as the pansy's current appearance was developed from the heartsease by 2 centuries of intentional crossbreeding of wild plant hybrids. The specific colors of the flower are purple, yellow, and white are meant to symbolize memories, loving thoughts and souvenirs, respectively. The Freedom from Religion Foundation uses the pansy symbol extensively in its lapel pins and literature. The flower has long been associated with human manner, as one man cleverly stated, nature sports as much with the colors of this little flower as she does with the features of the human countenance. The pansy unregistered trademark S particular connection to human thought and emotion is mirrored in one Dr. Yvonne unregistered trademark S poems, where he captures the whimsical, yet deep emotional roots of the pansy unregistered trademark S symbolism. Pied pansy, once a vestal fair in restrain, now droops stained by the bolt of love her. Purple breast, and freaked with G to unregistered trademark her party-colored vesta The shape of the petals, in particular its resemblance to the human face, it is not surprising that the pansy would come to be associated with deep contemplation. One man wrote in the Argosy, with its own symbolic meaning of thought, the pansy is also somewhat endued with a soft shadow, not necessarily of grief, but solemn and quiet, indeed grave, as thought should be the pansy is a symbol of the Kappa Alpha Theta sorority, the Delta 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 sorority and the Sigma Lambda Upsilon or C plus or minus Oritas Latinas Unitas sorority, incorporated. The pansy is the flower of Osaka, Japan, and was the name of the Epiphone elitist Les Paul custom guitar with an alpine white finish played by guitarist Frank Iero of the band My Chemical Romance. Pansy was broken during a show. A purple pansy is the symbol of the Royal Purple of Canada. The purple pansy was chosen as the national emblem of the order for two reasons: first, because the pansy grows all across Canada and, second, because it means pleasant thoughts, which fits in very well with the principles of the Royal Purple, which are justice, charity, love and fidelity. Traditions and uses. In William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, the juice of the heartsease is a love potion and on sleeping eyelids laid, will make a man or woman madly dote upon the next live creature that it sees. In the language of flowers, a honeyflower and a pansy left by a lover for his beloved means I am thinking of our forbidden love. In 1858, the writer James Shirley Hibberd wrote that the French custom of giving a bride a bouquet of pansies and marigolds symbolized the woes of domestic life rather than marital bliss. A German fable tells of how the pansy lost its perfume. Originally pansies would have been very fragrant, growing wild in fields and forests. It was said that people would trample the grass completely in eagerness to pick pansies. Unfortunately, the Fiopli unregistered trademark S cows were starving due to the ruined fields, so the pansy prayed to give up her perfume. Her prayer was answered, and without her perfumed scent, the fields grew tall, and the cows grew fat on the fresh green grass. American pioneers thought that a handful of violets taken into the farmhouse in the spring ensured prosperity, and to neglect this ceremony brought harm to baby chicks and ducklings. On account of its place in American hearts, a game called a violet war also arose. In this game, two players would intertwine the hooks where the pansy blossoms meet the stems, then attempt to pull the two flowers apart like wishbones. Whoever pulled off the most of their opponent unregistered trademark S violet heads was proclaimed the winner. Young American settlers also made pansy dolls by lining up the pansy flower or faces pasting on leaf skirts and twig arms to complete the figures. The pansy is used in phytotherapy. Gallery. References. External links: pansyflowers.com. Information about pansies, remember flower by faces, but not humans. The Milwaukee Sentinel. September 15, 1929. Pages 12.